Nobody called.
Hi. Kara Ross.
Gabby Gray.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for getting me in on such short notice.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
So what brings you in?
I'm here because I was in a car accident a few years ago. Since then, last year I was in a car, I got rear-ended on my way to work, and over the summer I had a driving experience that I guess triggered something. So all that to say, I've noticed that now that I'm a passenger in a car, I feel very anxious and out of control, and I feel like the person who's driving isn't doing a good enough job, and I tend to backseat drive a lot. And I also noticed that when I am driving and other people are in my car, I feel extra responsible for them, and it makes me anxious, and I think about it whenever I have to drive whenever I have to drive with somebody else in my car.
Okay. So are you here today because you kind of want to help the anxiety, or are you wanting some specific tools for getting through the fear of driving? What is it that you want to come out of this?
I want to feel less anxious when I'm driving and I'm a passenger driving. I want to be able to enjoy my car ride with the people, whoever is driving. Usually it's my husband, and I've never felt like this before when he's driving. We always listen to music, and I don't know, I don't want to feel anxious every time I'm in a car with him driving. I don't want to backseat drive every time. So I want to feel less anxious as a passenger, and I want to feel less anxious as a driver with passengers in my car.
What do you think the anxiety comes from?
I think as a driver, the anxiety comes from, in my first car accident, I was the only car that was involved, and my car was totaled. The headlights were popped out, and springs, everything was smashed in, windows. It was scary to look at it after the car accident.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the relief, but also and guilt, I don't know, of just not impacting anybody else. And so I think that now I'm way more aware of other people's safety while I'm driving, I guess. I don't know. I think I just talked myself out of answering that question. I don't really know where I went with that. Can you repeat the question?
I was just asking, what is it that you want out of this session?
I want to feel less anxious, I guess,
Okay.
as a passenger.
I think you answered it. You just
Okay.
tell me
Took
a
a
little
long
bit
route.
more. Yeah. So let's say you said you ride with your husband more often than not, but it also scares you to drive other people.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that you mentioned guilt? So do you think the guilt from not impacting anyone else in your car accident is affecting you now as far as driving other people, or how do you think that's affecting you now?
I think that the guilt comes from I could have hurt somebody. I could have, whether it's the driver or the kids in their car, just the thought of I could have really injured or even killed somebody else. That is the guilt that just weighs on me. So that's, I think, where it comes from. Whenever I'm driving I don't really know how that affects me, other than I just.
Well, have you made any changes because of?
What do you mean?
Have you made changes from that car accident?
So I don't, whenever I go out, I rarely drink. If I do, it's a drink, or if I have two, then I make sure I am not getting into a car in well over 2 hours, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it changes me that way. And I know that, I'm trying to think of other ways it's impacted my driving.
Well, besides just feeling anxious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Which one of those do you think impacts you the most? Which one do you think you would want to start working on first? And I'm sure that whatever you come up with could bleed into both, but what do you think is more important? Not being a backseat driver, or being able to drive someone without the fear of, I'm going to hurt them if something happens?
I think probably being a passenger
Okay.
is what I want to work on most, because I want to make sure excuse me, not that I avoid driving other people in my car, but I just tend to be a passenger more often than not. And I think since that's what I am more often than not, that's what I want to work on.
And we've spoken before, and I think you've told me that you already have some anxiety issues in your life in general.
Mhm.
So what are some things that you do on a daily basis that kind of help calm you?
Well, I used to medicate. I used to get anti-anxiety medication. But then I started, and this was last year, I started doing yoga, and then last winter I implemented meditation daily into my life. And ever since then, I've lost any need to medicate at all.
That's
and so,
amazing.
yeah, like that really helped with my anxiety, and I love it. And I could like talk for hours about that, but I'm not going to. So I think, yeah, that's something that I already use. So I guess I'm wondering now if I can implement that with driving, like my meditation, maybe.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you already do yoga, you already meditate daily. So thinking of your fear of being a passenger or just fear of someone not driving as safe as you would like them to,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think you could do? How could you incorporate maybe what could you incorporate into your meditation that could help you with that?
So when I meditate, there's mantras, and that's like a thought or a phrase that you repeat when you focus on. But when I meditate, I don't have mantras or any thoughts. I try to and just focus on my breath and nothing else. But I'm wondering if maybe I set aside like 5 minutes at the end of my meditation rather than before, but at the end, so I'm already in the right mind space. But if I have something of like, you know, like it's okay to not be in control, or I trust the person driving me, or something along those lines, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if focusing on that for 5 minutes every day would be helpful, being a passenger in someone else's car.
Do you think that would be helpful? Like
I'm
if you
willing to try.
if you actually implemented it, picture yourself doing that.
I don't know if it would or not, but just because I don't do that on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't focus on one thing and then see how it impacts my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's definitely worth trying to see if it would be helpful.
Okay. Do you feel that, I think you mentioned you don't like not having control whenever you're not driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of scary to release it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that bleeds into anything else into your life, or is it strictly just with driving?
That's a really good question. You know, I don't think so. I think there's, you know, it's crazy because I guess before I would have said no, but now that I'm thinking, if I'm at home, and I think this actually even stems from like childhood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If like my mom said she was going to be home at a certain time and she wasn't, I would be like, okay, like where is she? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like if she's supposed to get off work or whatever. And or like my brother, so, like I like to know what's going on, and then if that's not what pans out, I think I do get a little, not anxious necessarily, but I'm like
Nervous
a little,
or-
yeah, like what's happening, you know? And so I think that's also like in my married life, and my husband, you know, if he has to stay late from a gig because he's waiting to get paid, or if something else happens, like and he does this now, but like before, if he didn't let me know when he's on his way home, like I wouldn't be able to fall asleep knowing or not knowing. Yeah, so I think
Okay.
that is something that impacts other parts of my life.
So maybe even the mantra that you're talking about could be less specific to driving and more
Yeah.
specific to control. So if you were thinking in terms of needing control, what kind of mantra could you come up with that can maybe help you defeat that?
I think one could be, it's okay to not be in control, or have trust. Just have trust that everything is gonna have trust in whatever the situation is.
Mhm.
You know, maybe have trust not being in control. Like it's okay. Like there's other things that are, I don't know. I need to think about that. But I think, just in general, I think a good one would be, it's okay to not be in control.
It's a good starting
But I
point at
think-
least too, yeah.
I think I don't know, I think I'd want to come up with something that's more about trust instead of saying that it's, like, I want to make it positive, I guess, instead of saying it's okay to not, I want to
Right.
make it, you know what I mean, like, what do I want instead? I want to have trust in the universe, trust in the situation.
I can trust, how would you finish that sentence? I can trust that.
Okay, I feel a little self-conscious saying this, but I think just it's something that would be helpful for me would just have trust in the universe. Have trust everything's gonna be okay. Everything is supposed to be how it's supposed to be. Just have trust in that.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
I like that you went positive with it instead of, I don't need to do this,
Yeah.
I do need to do this, and it's in a positive light. That's
Yeah.
good. So if we were to pick one goal that you think could help you overcome the anxiety you feel whenever it comes to being a passenger or driving other people, what's that goal? Like, could you come up with a sentence?
I will meditate 5 minutes on trusting the universe.
Okay. And how are you gonna achieve that? Like, on your day-to-day?
So I already meditate every day,
Okay.
and so I think what I would just do is at the end of my meditation set a timer for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
I mean, it can add 5 minutes, that's not a problem, or just take 5 minutes away. Because it's always 20 minutes a day, or at least. So if I can't add 5 minutes to my 20 minutes, then I would just do 15 minutes, and then make that last 5 minutes be to that.
Okay.
Am I answering your question?
Okay. What are some potential roadblocks to this goal?
I don't know if it's a roadblock necessarily, but I don't meditate with mantras right now. I don't know, I don't really, I just like doing it to nothing.
Mhm.
So I think it would be different having a mantra every single day, but I don't necessarily see that as being something that would stop me or a challenge that would be too hard for me to complete my goal. I just think it's just something different that I would have to get used to.
I'm glad you touched on that because that's what I was wondering, like, because your meditation is very important to you, so I didn't know if making a goal of, I need to add 5 minutes to my meditation to say this mantra over and over was going to kind of ruin it for you, or do you think that you can manage that without it taking away from what you're already doing?
I think I can manage it without taking it away because I'm not stopping what I'm doing, I'm just adding to it. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Why is this goal important to you?
It's important to me because I want to enjoy my car rides.
Mhm.
I don't want to feel like I'm gonna get into a car accident. I don't want to feel like I don't trust the person
Mm-hmm.
either that's driving, and I don't want to be I don't want to backseat drive. You know what I mean? Because like no one likes a backseat driver,
Mm-hmm.
and it's to the point where it's every time they brake, slow down, slow down, slow down. Like it's too much.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to enjoy, and I want to be able to give trust to the driver, and so because I really want that, I will complete my goal.
And
It's important to me.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned you want to trust the driver because you were the driver in your car accident, right?
Mhm.
And nobody else was involved. Do you ever wonder, or do you ever think, I was a good driver and this happened to me, and so it maybe makes you nervous thinking, well, this person is always a good driver, but things can happen. Is that why you're so freaked out about trust?
I think partly, I think that's something to do with that. I always felt like I was a decent driver, but then in a past relationship of mine, my ex would always if ever I made a mistake or did, and even something that an innocent anybody could have done that, he would yell you're stupid, he would throw out the retarded word, which I really, really hate. And so I think that there's some aspects of a past relationship that has bled into my life now too, where it's just whenever I do make a mistake, wherever I hear that voice in my head
Mm-hmm.
from those 6 years together
Mhm.
of you're an idiot and
You don't know what
some
you're
colorful
doing.
words, exactly. And so I think that plays a part too. So it's not that I don't think I'm a bad driver or that I don't trust myself, but I think those comments have really inhibited my confidence
In
or
yourself
or
and
stunted
others,
my confidence
or-
in myself.
Mhm.
And it's not that and for other people, I think it's because this has happened to me, and so I know what it's like, and I don't ever want to car accidents scared the crap out of me
Yeah.
now. Like, and I used to even have, as a kid, I'd have nightmares about them. So like,
And then it just happened.
and then it happened, and so now I'm just more sensitive.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, I have one more reflection question
Of
for
course.
you. How could you explain, or why is this goal equally realistic and also challenging?
It's realistic in that I already meditate, so adding to it is not going to take away. It's not going to make it so I can't do it. The challenge is that I'm doing something different. Excuse me, I could add on to, or I will be adding on to something I'm already doing, and it's just a challenge in that it's something I just need to adapt to or get used to.
Right.
But it's not going to, it's not going to be like a roadblock or a barrier either.
Well, I think we have a really good starting point. The next time we see each other, I want you to try this, let me know how it goes, and if it doesn't work, we'll come up with something else. If it does work, we'll maybe tweak it and make it better. But thank you for coming in and seeing me.
Thank you so much for the sponsor. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Oh my god. Yep. Tell me it recorded. Yes.